All right. Before I start with the freshman coach, I would like to, the coaches and I have got together, and we would like to give an award to Rick. Okay, he took on a dual role this year as athletic director and reserve basketball coach. And just a token of our appreciation, we got a little trophy up here called Athletic Director of the Century. And we feel pretty safe that no one's going to come in and do a better job between now and the end of the century. So, Athletic Director of the Century. All right, at this time, our freshman coach, Jim Ferris.
Good evening. Can you hear me now? I have to speak close to this. It's always dangerous to give me a microphone if none of you are a judge. Shortly before the basketball season started, Coach Patrick may or may not remember this, I stopped by his house just to get a little input on the freshman team. He sees them generally before I do with conditioning and so forth. I was standing in his house, and all of a sudden he walks to the back of the house and he shouts out the window, "Green side up." And, well, I don't know what that means, but he comes back and he starts telling me about the kids on the team and prospectively on the team. And a few minutes go by and he goes back to the window again and yells, "Green side up." Now I think this is kind of odd, but he's the head coach. I'm the freshman coach, so I keep asking about the freshman players. And about 5 minutes go by and he goes back to the back window of his house again and he yells, "Green side up." I couldn't take it anymore. I said, "Coach, why do you keep going to the back window and yelling green side up?" He says, "Well, I have CJ and Wally out back laying sod." Well, I saw CJ. Wally, are you here? Okay. I at least feel like now I can make fun of those guys because the juniors are the group that I started with, and so hopefully they haven't lost their sense of humor. With respect to this group of young men, certainly, and just like the last two, I enjoyed coaching this group of young men, and Mike Lutterby back there is waving to me. Mike especially. If there's a character in the crowd, it's Mike. The more I coach the game of basketball, the more intrigued I become with the mental approach of the game. I've been in a lot of locker rooms throughout my lifetime, probably more than I would care to admit. And it's not unusual to go into a locker room and see all sorts of words and phrases painted in large letters on the wall. Things like dedication, hustle, effort, discipline, teamwork. And similar to this, I would put in the category, I've always been fascinated by pep talks that coaches give, and by stories that coaches tell. To play together. And I think those three things are why they became as successful as they did. We started the year out 1-3, and I was beginning to question myself, what we were doing as a team, and why we weren't. In every season, you look to turn the corner at some point, and I was certainly growing concerned that we may not turn that corner. But from mid-January, actually from December 18th, the last 17 games we went 15-2. But even as late as mid-January or so, it seemed to still be in doubt. I still didn't sense that we were getting where we need to be. And I think, to me, in mid-January or late January,
the turning point was in any game, any basketball team, and usually when I see it is in late in the third quarter, early in the fourth quarter. In most games, I think we had one blowout where we blew out Deer Park, and I think that was the only game that we blew somebody out. All the other games were close and competitive. But late in the third quarter of a game, particularly, and sometimes it's even later than that, early in the fourth quarter, you begin to get a sense of how the game's going to turn out. Whether, even though it's a close game, do you really believe that you're going to win the game? And I think early in the season, in December particularly, we were out there when the game would be on the line in the third quarter. We would play not to lose the game. And you don't win games that way. But by the end of January, you could sense it. And if you think back, and I don't know if you can feel it the same way I could, but you just get a feeling. And that feeling says, and not that you absolutely are positive you're going to win the game. You don't know that. You're going to lose some of those close games. But there's a feeling that you get as a team and as a player that we're in this game. We can win this game. And until you develop that and are able to act on it and play with the poise and confidence that will result in you winning the game, I think you're going to be an average team at best. And of all the things I was most proud of, it was that I thought these young men developed that in themselves and really believed by the end of January that when we went out there and the game was on the line, the feeling was, we can win this game. We can win this game. So we don't have those to hand out to you tonight. We do have your yes, we're going to take Rick's plaque back. We do have the, what do you call these? Certificates. Thank you. So we also have a few awards, but I'll hand out the certificates. And if we could have all the guys come up one at a time as I call your name, which is in alphabetical order, then if you'll hold your applause till the end, then we can recognize the freshman basketball team. Jared Allen. Not here. Jeff Cummins. Your left hand, right? How's your hand? That's good right there. Jeff broke his hand late in the season and missed the last couple of games, unfortunately. Brent Cunningham, right, I see his cast is off. He's looking better. Billy Felix. Justin Gill. Justin, feel free to call him Fish. Nobody apparently has ever called Justin that before, but I couldn't stop calling him Steve because I had known Mr. Gill sometime before I knew Justin, and every time I talk to him early in the year, and he's tall enough you want to talk to the kid. And I kept calling him Steve, and he'd look at me like, why are you calling me Steve? And I finally said, well, we'll call you Fish. Matt Gillespie. Matt, I have to tell you a little story about Matt. It's no story. Matt took one of the hardest falls. He was sort of tripped. It was probably Cummins, but in practice, and he fell, and at some point, the bridge of his nose hit the floor in the gym. It was during practice. It was almost at the end of practice, and he gets up, and he looks like he's okay, and then all of a sudden says, one of the players say, your nose is bleeding. And he reaches up and touches it, and of course I wouldn't touch it. Not without the gloves. But I figured how to get around that. You just go and you get some paper towels or something, hand it to the kid and say, you put it on. But he looks at me, and all of a sudden I have never seen such a streak of panic come over anybody. And he says, is my nose all right? And you could tell, I mean, he was genuinely upset, and it was almost funny, but not. I said, it's fine, and then I walked off the court with him. But very, very, very tense moment. John Harvey, Mike Lutterby, Dean Sauer.
You'll get a story.
Your story? You are a story. Mike is a story. Dean's a story too. Dean and I had a slight problem early in the year when he dyed part of his hair. About my color, maybe a little lighter. And I guess I had a couple of comments about it, and he was a little sensitive. I apologized to him. I just hadn't seen anything like it before. Willie Turner. And last but not least, Bo Williams. The freshman basketball team. I have 3 additional awards to hand out. The first player to receive another award is, perhaps except for John, now I'm not sure without comparing their weight, is probably the heaviest player and the biggest player that we have on our team. And this player receives, in fact, the last game of the season, he took, and I have, a Big Mac meal. He took the best charge I've seen all year in the last game of the season. And I'm speaking of Willie Turner. Just hold on just a second, Willie. Willie receives the most valuable freshman, the most improved freshman player. Willie is a kid that I think last year was the first year that he played on a school team. So he's made a lot of progress in 2 years. I don't know how much he played last year. If he played a lot, or I suspect he played less than, played more this year substantially than he did last year. He came a long way. The biggest thing with Willie, he reminds you of a big bear. And you just like to go out sometimes and shake him and get him mad. That I have is labeled a Tiger Award, and to some extent, I would liken this to perhaps the second MVP of our team. But I think more importantly, the story I'd like to tell you about this young man is I actually had 2 officials together come up to me after a home game and tell me what a sportsman this kid is. That he is just such a nice kid, and the things that he did and said while playing the game in a competitive manner were above and beyond what you frequently see on a basketball court. I think I'm embarrassing him a little bit. He rebounded the ball for us very well. He scored a lot of points inside. Although anybody who scores for us generally scores inside, even the guards. We probably shot less than we probably shot 5 or 6 3-pointers all year. We just don't need to shoot them at this level. But Bo Williams receives our Tiger Award, and I can't say enough about Bo as a player and as a person. Bo Williams. Now this last one's going to come as a real shock to you. This last young man also is a quality young man as a sportsman, as a player. He actually even played a few minutes of point guard for us at one point. He was the kid that he played the 3 position, he played the 4 position, he played the 5 position. You'd have to ask him which position he played the most of. I know he played all 3 of them. He played all 3 of them a lot. He frequently did not come out of the game. He's a type of kid that you keep telling him one was a basket, one was 2 free throws. I can't remember which was which in terms of the game. But our MVP for the 98-99 school year is Justin Gill.
Okay, now I'm going to introduce our JV coach, our reserve coach, Rick Wilson. But before I do that, Rick took on 2 jobs this year, which was a difficult task, and he did both of them extremely well. And then add on top of that, he had some physical problems throughout the year, which didn't help matters. And it would not be fair for us not to recognize some people that stepped in and helped us during the reserve year. During the games, Coach Stewart and Coach Ferris would step in and run a few practices and run the games for him, and did a very good job. Not as good as you, Rick, okay? But they did a very good job. And also his wife Pat stepped in and really helped on the AD stuff and made things run smoothly for us, which makes our job a lot easier and helps us to do a much better job. At this time, our reserve coach, Rick Wilson.
Before we get started, there's some people here that I need to thank that really helped the season go a lot smoother for first place in the tournament. And Jim's just I mean, you can just hear him from the sidelines. Come on, let's go to work. Let's get busy. Let's start working, you know. And he is exactly where he should be on that 8th grade level. And these kids that we get, and it shows on the 9th grade level. Jim has had, Coach Ferris has had 3 championships. I think in the past 3 years, 3 championships with the freshmen, and it makes it a lot easier. And Jim Fay deserves just some attention. Mr. Smith and Mr. Faulkner. Thank you for your support. About the opposite of what Jim Ferris was. We lost 9 games by less than 10 points. So in the 4th quarter, we were there. We were close, even though our record doesn't say a lot with a 5-15 record. But we were close. We were there in the 4th quarter. The game could have turned either way. And sometimes you're just overmatched. And it comes out in that 4th quarter. The last 4 minutes of the 4th quarter is when a lot of times you get overmatched. And that's what happened to us this year. It wasn't for the lack of effort. The kids gave everything that they could give, but sometimes it's just not enough. And I don't really look at a win-loss record as saying we had a successful or an unsuccessful season. I look more at the individual player and the JV level and really ask myself, if I have prepared this player, which is my job, to prepare these kids on the JV to play at the next level, which is varsity. And we did. I think we did. We worked hard. We showed a lot of improvement throughout the year. Our biggest problem this year, the opponent that we just couldn't overcome, was sickness. We had a lot of sickness on the team this year. It's more than what I have ever had coaching here for 8 years. Starting with me and right on down. It's just everybody was sick one time or another. I had kids running up and down the floor in practice. I was trying to hold practice with 7 kids because the other 4 or 5 kids were sick, homesick. Kids were coming to practice sick. They were coming to games sick. I had kids tell me this year, you know, Coach, I can't breathe. I need to get out. You know, or I'd go to put them in the second half, and they'd say, I can't go in. I can't breathe. And we fought that this year too. And I think that wore on us a little bit this year too. Our JV team, when I introduce you, if you would, please come up, stand here. I'll give you your award. Stay here until everybody comes up and receives their award. Jason Zimmerman. Jason was one of the kids this year that was sick. He was the one that I was speaking about. That halftime in the locker room. John, can you help me here? Halftime in the locker room, Jason, he just got finished playing like the second quarter, and he was back there in the locker room, and he come up to me and says, Coach, he says, I can't go no more. He says, I can't breathe. And but I mean, he was willing. He got out there and he tried and he played hard, and you know, I really appreciate that. Shane Mays. Shane Mays is a first-year player, and probably our most improved player. Shane did a great job this year when I put him in. And believe me, Shane always wanted to go in. He was always sitting there. He was always willing to go in, and Shane did a good job for us this year. Josh Eiley. Josh is another first-year player. He always gave 100%. He had some sickness this year too, but he was there every practice, every game, willing to put forth the effort that it takes to get out there and to play every day. Garrett Crawford. Garrett did a great job for us this year. I have coached one other kid that could jump about as high as Garrett can. Garrett can jump. Tried to talk him into going out for high jumping and track this year, but Garrett was another person that was sick this year. And again, he was at practices, he was at games, and there was a lot of times we just couldn't run up and down the floor. But I appreciate the effort from Garrett. Jacob Allen. Jacob is our inside player this year. Jacob does a lot of good things when he gets the basketball. He plays good defense. He needs to play this summer so that he can move on to that next level. And I really think that he'll help the varsity next year. But he's got to play this summer. You become a player in this game, not during the season, but in the off season is when you become a player. In the season, we're too busy with other things. Jacob will help the varsity next year. Donald Lisa, you here? Not here. Josh Schenkel. Josh not here? Adam Brothers. Adam was, the first half of the year, Adam didn't get a lot of playing time. We put him in, I put him in one game and let him play. Adam can knock some 3 points down. He was our 3-point shooter. He did a good job. He got a lot of starts. He played almost all the second half of the year, and he did a good job for us. Matt Cunningham. Mr. Hustle. Matt does a great job. There would be times I'd go back into the locker room and I'd see Matt just absolutely just worn out. And I would look at the other guys and I'd say, I want you to play like Matt. You know, be like Mike. I want you to play as hard as what Matt does. Because Matt plays the game hard. He's on the floor. He's in the bleachers. He's under the scores table. He goes after loose balls. He just gets after it. And I have seen Matt. Matt had to practice, and Jacob too, and Jacob Allen. They would go through 2 practices a day. And if you stop and think about it, that's probably 4 hours of practice that they would practice a day. He would practice for me, and then after I'd get finished practicing, he'd go down and practice on the varsity. Both of them guys would. And that's a full evening. And I just wanted to really thank you guys for doing that. Adam Wild. Adam joined us late in the year. He helped us tremendously. He helped us tremendously with bringing the ball up the floor. He's the type of guard that I think if we would have had all year, we could have penetrated more, which means we could have dished off more. We could have got more inside shots than what we did. Adam did a great job for us this year, and Adam needs to improve on his defense, and we've talked a little bit about that. And for next year, but Adam really helped us. This is our JV team. Thank you, guys. Don't scare me like that. One other couple things. I got a couple of special awards here that I want to give away. But first, I'd like to say thank you to the parents. You're doing a great job of raising your kids. I never had any problems with them. They always did what I told them to do. And maybe I get more out of them than you do. I don't know. But they were good kids. Late nights, early mornings on Saturdays sometimes. We didn't have too many early Saturdays, but the Saturdays, I know that you as parents, and my wife and I have been through that too, that we seem to rotate our lives around what our kids are doing, and sometimes that's really hard to do. But I want to thank all the parents. And one person that I'm probably going to get in trouble for when I get home is I forgot to thank my wife. And but she's really helped me out this year. She's as far as the ADing goes, and as far as the season goes, anything that I needed, she would always come up and help me, and I really appreciate her. I'd like to present a couple of special awards here, and then I'm going to turn this over to John. My first award that I would like to present is my Most Valuable Player Award. My Most Valuable Player Award. And I give this every year. Everybody's valuable, but there's always that one person that seems to just stand out. And this person stood out on our team this year. He made a lot of good decisions. He plays hard when you get on him to play hard. He's going to help the varsity next year. Jacob Allen. I got an award I give out every year. It's called the Tiger Award. I've done it for 8 years. This award goes to the player who I feel is probably my best defensive player. They, and I've probably already said this, Adam. I've already said this about the young man. He gets on the floor after balls. He turns. As a player is dribbling, this is a coach's dream to have a person like this. As an offensive player is dribbling the ball up the floor, us as coaches, we try to get that defensive player to turn that guy at least twice before he gets across half court. If we can get him to turn that guy twice, in other words, not let the guy just dribble the ball up the floor and do what he wants to do, that guy's done a heck of a job. Because if you can turn the guy twice, make him change directions twice before he gets to half court, you're doing a good job. Because you don't know which way he's going. Only he knows which way he's going. And if you turn him before he gets to the half court line, you're doing a good job. And without a doubt, he had a lot of steals doing this, a lot of easy baskets. The person I'm talking about, of course, is Matt Cunningham. I'm sorry, that wasn't my Tiger Award. This is the Best Defensive Player Award. I said it was the Tiger Award. I'm sorry.
We have got you something to show that we appreciated you coaching this year again, but it's not in yet. I just want to let everybody know.
One more award, and I'm going to be real quick, which is now my Tiger Award, okay? It's really a spirit and dedication award. This guy might not be a starter all the time. A lot of times he doesn't play a lot, even though this guy did get some playing time, and he got more as the season went on. But he always plays hard. He always shows up for practice on time. I told these kids at the beginning of the year, if you can't be on time, be early. And he always was. He was always out there shooting. He was always out there shooting around, staying after practice, wanting to shoot. He accepted his role on the team as not being the number 6 man or even the 8th or 9th man. And he hasn't got a lot of great ability. But he's got a lot of extraordinary determination. And he's going to make things go the way he wants them to do, and he never gives up. And this young man has probably faced more adversity than some of us will ever face in our lives. Our Tiger Award, Shane May. At this time, I'd like to introduce our head coach, uh, John Patrick. But before I do, I just want to say a couple things about John and his coaching staff. We've come a long way from where we were 5 years ago. We really have. 5 years ago, Bethel basketball wasn't so popular to play. The only press we got was how many games we lost in a row. And I don't know if some of you have been around here that long to where you can remember the losing streak. 56 games or something like that. It was incredible. But since then, we've turned it around and we've turned the corner, and it's because of these dedicated coaches that put in their time away from their family. And when you stop and think about it, practice is only 2 hours long, but he's there half an hour before practice and probably a half an hour, 45 minutes after practice. He puts in a lot of time up here. All the coaches do. And I just want to make sure that everybody that we understand that, because it's doing this job.
First of all, I have a few thank yous, and especially since I already mentioned we didn't get another league championship, and you kind of feel like we might have let one get away from us. But we had a successful season. We had a winning record of 12 wins and 10 losses, especially after we started out losing our first 3 games, which was something that we expected to happen. We only had one senior on the team, the rest were juniors. We basically started the year with a reserve basketball team. The way things are supposed to go, your juniors get their feet wet and come off the bench and learn how to play varsity basketball with that intensity. And by Christmas or the second half of the season, they start really being effective basketball players and varsity players. We didn't have that luxury. We had one senior. These guys had to know how to play varsity basketball right away. And to be quite honest with you, they didn't know how to at the beginning. And we lost the first 3 games. But they were quick learners, and they didn't get down. Great group of kids. They worked hard. We then go on a 6-game winning streak. We win the Ohio, over Christmas, we win the Ohio River Classic at New Richmond. We had some big wins against Glen Estee, which was a particularly big win for me, considering I teach at Glen Estee. That made things a lot easier going back into the classroom, a winner instead of a loser. Also, Rick Crawford, who is writing a book, Sports History in Claremont County, the history of sports in Claremont County, after the game came up to me and told me that was the first time Bethel had beat Glen Estee since 1963. So, we did accomplish some things this year. Winning that tournament, went on a 6-game winning streak. Up until the tournament time, we were the last team to beat Batavia. Played a good game at home when we beat Batavia. Had a nice game by C.J. Miller with 41 points that night. And what's more amazing than C.J. scoring 41 points that night is he missed 2 shots. That's quite an accomplishment. I was going to say it kind of aggravated that he missed 2 shots, but we won. Okay, so we'll let him miss 2. But we had a player like C.J. who was capable of doing things like that. But this basketball team was very unselfish, and that's why he was able to play like that. A lot of times I've had teams where you've had good players, and there would be a little bit of animosity at times. But CJ's biggest fans were his teammates. The better he played, the more they enjoyed it. They were really supportive of him, and I think that was something this team has that's a little special. We were able to play the last game of the season for a league championship. Unfortunately, we didn't win it, but you go all the way to game number 20, and you're still in it. About 95% of your teams do not get to go to the last game of the season to be in it. We were in it, and quite honestly, we played hard enough to win the game. I felt like we had a game plan and executed the game plan well enough to win. The bottom line is they made their shots and we didn't, and unfortunately, we didn't win. We shoot the ball like we're capable of that night, and we're league champions. But, we had a good, successful season. We've become a lot better basketball team. And only having one senior next year looks bright. Now, unfortunately, Batavia only has one senior. Georgetown only had one senior. it's a little unusual because this league was young. So we're going to have a good team next year. But if we're going to accomplish our goal, we have to get better. Okay? We're not going to have a bunch of people graduating and we've got the upper hand. Every other team in the league just about is in the same boat we're in. So we're going to have to work hard this summer. And I think if these kids work hard, stay focused, and get better, we're going to win the league championship next year. A couple of things we need to do. I just want to really mention where we are, where we're going to go with this team. After we lost to Finneytown, which Finneytown's playing tonight for the district championship up in Dayton, so they're still in the tournament. A few days later, I went to go watch Madera and Reading play in their sectional final, and the Finneytown coach came up to sit down next to me. And he goes, "I want to let you know that our coaching staff talked after the game." He goes, "Tell your players you are that close from being there." He goes, "I don't think they realize it." He goes, "You guys are very good. You're just that close." And I agreed with him that we are that close, and I agreed with him sometimes I don't think we know how good we are or how good we can be. We had about a 4-minute stretch against Finneytown where they went on an 18-2 run. We just lost our focus and couldn't seem to get back on track. After that, we beat them. You take those 4 minutes away, we beat them. It's a very close game, but we outscored them other than those 4 minutes. That's what he was talking about. You're that close. You stay a little bit more consistency. It would help if we could get a 7-footer in the middle. But other than that, we're that close. And he wanted to he made a special trip to tell my players. And I think, that helps reinforce it. I get a little close to the program sometimes and think, well, we're not, are we really that good or not? Someone outside the program says, yes, you can be, but we need to still work hard at that. Some of the things we need to do is we need to learn to stay focused a little bit better. We had several games where we would lose our focus in the game. Out of the entire Cunningham family. On some Saturdays and snow days, we'd have 4 or 5 of them up there. However many there are, they would all be up there. It would be the Cunninghams against the rest of the team sometimes. We appreciate them coming up and helping us out. Sometimes we were shorthanded for sickness, or on some of those snow days we would have whoever could get up here with practice, and if you can't make it, that's fine. And we would be short some players, and they were able to jump in and help us out. And again, that's just another reason why this is a successful program. Everybody's chipping in and helping each other when they need it. Andy Hesketh, I said that right this time? Hesketh? No S? Hesketh? All right, there it is. Andy H, as we call him. And he went through a lot of the season practicing, two practices a day before we finally went ahead and moved him up to the varsity. And that's kind of a difficult thing to do too, and we appreciate that. Right, again, we can hold our applause to the end. And again, we mentioned earlier this year, we've decided to, our seniors who graduate, and we give them an alumni pass for their season for the next year. Coach Stewart and I were talking, it was mainly his idea, so you can thank him, but we were talking how we always tell our seniors, hey, come on back. We really, we don't be a stranger. We want you to come back, but at the same time, if you come back, we're going to charge you. And we kind of thought, that's not right. Why can't we give them a 1-year pass? And you come on back, it's on us. And so, that was the thinking back there. We want our seniors to come back and stay in touch with us. So, our seniors, which consists of one, is Luke Cunningham, 2nd year of our student. each of these players are going to get their certificate. Coach Stewart has also made up a book. Some of you in the locker out in the hallway have seen the kid's picture. We've got their picture, and then some of the team stats and some of the articles in the paper, box scores, things like that. We put them on in here for the team also. Nick Iwari. Okay, other than Luke, second-year varsity, the rest of these are all first-year varsities, which they received a pin. Luke got the bronze pin or whatever it is. Clint Ladd. C.J. Miller. Mike Orrick. Matt Rector. Andy Stanford. Andy also receives the Scholar Athlete. Now, I have a little problem here. He's the only one who won a Scholar Athlete. We have someone on our team who's on the academic team, and it's not Andy. I'm just questioning why he's the only Scholar Athlete we have, okay?
It's all right, Wally.
Oh, Andy.
Come on. Come on.
Clayton Cobb. Justin Wallace. And Andy Hester. Stay here. Stay here. I've got a few awards. I'm just going to let them stand up here and I'll give them awards out. The first one, for a lack of a better word, we put our most improved. This goes to a young man who, he is never short on confidence. But to be quite honest with you, I didn't know if he was going to be able to step in as early as what he did and run the show. Okay? Didn't know if he was going to be able to do it. Fortunately, he proved me wrong. He stepped in and played very, very well for us all year long. Improved in his defense, which is something at the point guard position, the most important position. Someone who, and you need that person to be able to play good defense, push the basketball up the floor. He improved every game at getting better at that, and that is a lot of the reason we had the success we did. That goes to lefty Justin Wallace. award goes, it's a coach's award. I give, Coach Wilson gives a Tiger Award. I give a coach's award. And this year, this goes to a special young man. This guy was our only senior, and that is not an easy thing to do. Okay, he takes on all the senior leadership. At times when you're the only senior, you're kind of, I don't want to say you're a loner because that's not the case, but at the same time, you play basketball all your life, you get to your senior year, and you play on a team, but you've never played with any of these guys. That's not an easy thing to do. You're the only one that has varsity experience. They're all looking for you to show them the way, and that's not always an easy thing to do. It's tough enough to play this game on your own, let alone trying to show the other team how to do it. But more importantly than that, this is a very quality person. And I cannot stress that enough. Okay? He is a super person. And he is going to be very successful in anything he does. And we're lucky to have had me 2 seasons and these guys 1 season with Luke Cunningham. This next award is our best defensive player. This guy had to guard the other team's best player every night. And it was, sometimes it might have been the other team's point guard. Sometimes it was a 6'5", 260-pound kid. It ranged drastically. He was also our second leading scorer. In order to do those things, it takes a lot of effort and desire and just an attitude. This guy is not any better athlete than anyone else on the floor. And I've told the other teams that, the other players this. He is no better than anyone on the floor. He just gets the job done because he just has an incredible desire and determination to get it done defensively. And he's a lot of the reason why we were able to win a lot of our games, because he was able to, if not shut down the other player, at least neutralize their best player. And when you can neutralize or shut down the other team's best player, I like our chances to win. And he's a big reason we've won 12 basketball games this year. That's Andy Stanley. Also, I need to mention this, that Andy also was selected second team All-League from the coaches. And in our SBC, we have the National Division and American Division. They take the top 8 players for first team and the second 8 players for the second team. And that's for both divisions. It's not just out of your division. And Andy was voted second team All-League. Our next award goes to our most valuable player. He was our leading scorer, our leading rebounder, led the team in free throw percentage, the team in shooting percentage from the 2-point line, from the 3-point line. At times had great defensive games. We had a few of them that wasn't as good as we'd like them to be, but you can't do everything all the time, so we'll forgive him on a couple of those. He was also voted first team All-League. He was one of 3 players in the league that got what I would call a perfect score on the voting. The most points you could get in the voting was 16 points. CJ and 2 other people in the league got the perfect score of 16 points. Lost out on a very, very close vote for Player of the Year. Next year he's going to get it. He's definitely our most valuable player. And not only that, he's a good kid too. He's a very unselfish player. And we're lucky to have him on our team, CJ Miller. You can have a seat, guys. this time, just a couple quick finishing touches by, what are you now, my AD or you're now the AD again, right? Okay, our AD, Rick Wilson.
We'll let you get out of here. I guess you mentioned Steve with this Red Lobster. He's going to eat well for the next couple weeks. Let you get out of here right away. Thank you again, and be careful going forward.
What do you got, Steve?
Look at me here, look at all of them.
One more guy.
No,
Everybody can tell.
the only thing I can remember is the Bible. I read it on some friends or something. Oh, yes, that's all I remember. It's good to be here right after 101st day. And Dennis, you know him, I'm an hour and 15 minutes older than he is. Born on the same day, 1911, on September the 5th. Of course, you can't tell how many older than him by looking at him. But anyhow, here's what he said about this. We looked at it. First, except I 15 minutes older than him, said he had to give reference to his elders. So that's the way that is. It's good to be with you, and I've enjoyed every minute. I've got a son from Florida who will be in my house possibly right now. I've got one we'll see you again someday. Homecoming will be in July, the second Sunday in July, and we'll see a lot of you there. Over in Wells Chapel, we're looking for you. I've been there this year, we'll be the 16th year, I'll preach the homecoming service. One of them is there. And I'll be in revival the week before. Pray the Lord is blessed and help us meet again. And this is what I know. If you're children of God, don't meet the boy here, we'll meet in glory. So we'll see you again sometime.
Thank you.
Hey, they want to know if I eat a piece of cake. I told them, well, if this is going to be in that, I'll force it down. Come on, Glenda.
There we go.
Now, young Stanley County. Say cheese. Now that was it.
Okay, that's good. Oh, yeah, I'm looking through their print. Yeah, I'm looking through that. Mom, cut the cake. Here you go, Brent. I'll take it. Okay, do you have a shot ready now? That's the twin. That's the pretty twin. Does everyone have a shot ready in it now? Right. Okay, I'm gonna wait till the ice Put it on it. Don't drop. Don't drop.
Donnie, y'all get in here. Come here, bud. Jerry wants us over that. You all gotta get Miss.
Oh boy, get a bigger turkey. You put down, get the
Right here. Right there.
Where's the mouth?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I told you. I did.
Can I get up on the chair? What I do?
Where's Albert at? Where's Albert at? Where's Jeff and Ray at?
Come on, Ray. He's out there sinning, is what he's doing. Exactly. These boys. Stay right there. Oh, I gotta move it. They're always.
We work before, every other weekend we get a 3-day off. Well, yeah. If she married a college student, that's what I'm
You'll have to come up and see my present that Jeffrey built me in his shop. It's a 16 feet tall. No, he built it for me in the shop. It's like 8 foot square, rectangle. 16 feet tall.
What you pay for when you don't do Donato's. The toppings stop where that big dough ring starts. Take it away and